Hi, my name is Alexa Scott, and I'm the founder of AMS Academic Solutions. And today I'm going to talk to you about a concept I developed called the Math Mountain. Now, when I talk about the Math Mountain, I'm going to be talking about it from the perspective of mathematics. However, it can be extended out to any discipline known as English, science, or whatever, but we're going to look at it from the perspective of math. So the reason I developed the Math Mountain is because I was noticing a certain pattern with problems in students and their learning. And one of the basic problems that I've noticed was the foundation. A lot of the students have a poor foundation, and they're going on to the different levels of math on that shaky foundation, and all they're doing is becoming more and more frustrated. I'm reminded of one of my students. When we first met, the first words were out of his mouth were, "I'm just so tired of not knowing." So they're having this poor foundation, and they're taking this poor foundation with them as they go through the math courses. The next problem I see is test-taking techniques. These students are being tripped up by this test, whatever the test is, be it a SAT, PSAT, or just their weekly exams that they have in the classroom. They want to get the best score, but they must remember to understand that the material in taking the test. If you understand the material, you will be able to get the best grade. But we're so focused on getting the best grade that we're not learning the foundation, but we're learning test-taking techniques. When all else fails, we're going to choose C. And the last problem I see, being also a college professor, is a lot of these entering college students, they don't have the basic skills to take the college courses. So what they do is they spend a lot of time and a lot of effort just taking developmental courses just to come up to speed. And a lot of the feedback that I get from my students is, I had a bad teacher in high school. I was never able to do math. And so they take that anxiety with them through the college courses where they're forced to take a math course. So that's why we developed the Math Mountain. So what is it? What is this Math Mountain? So what the Math Mountain is, it's just a perceived obstacle. It's something that's preventing you from gaining the knowledge that you need to gain to pass these courses. It can be as simple as not understanding the one math problem on a homework section, or as, on the other spectrum, as difficult as not wanting to understand any math problems. And we're just having just a heartache, we get the anxiety, we get the block, and we walk away. The first stage of the Math Mountain is the bottom of the Math Mountain. And the question that a lot of the people ask at this stage is, okay, what do I need to do in order to get started? How do I even get a footing on this mountain? So what we do here at AMS Academic Solutions is we make an assessment. Our tutors sit down with our clients and we just have a little conversation. We make an assessment to see where the client actually is. Because a lot of times, once we sit down and talk to the clients and have the clients do some problems, they're actually further up the Math Mountain than what they originally thought. We do a lot of problems. I believe that practice makes perfect. We do a lot of problems. And where we get our problems is a lot of my tutors, they're former educators, they're students in education, so they have a wealth of material. They have textbooks, they have workbooks, and there are also lots of resources online where you can pull problems. And so we just sit down with the students, work the problems that they're having difficulties in, just to see how we're going to tailor our sessions. Now, these conversations that we have with our students at this bottom of the Math Mountain also helps us to learn the students' different learning styles. Every student learns differently. And so we base this on the works of noted psychologist Howard Gardner, and he developed 9 intelligences. And so what we try to do is tailor each session based on the intelligence of the student, where the greatest intelligence they are. The first intelligence is verbal and linguistic. These are people that like to see things and hands-on. Their greatest gift is memory. So what we do at this case is we try to get them to understand the formulas by memorizing them. The next intelligence is logical and mathematical. These students at this stage have a good idea about patterns and numbers. The next one is visual and spatial. These students like to see pictures. They like to see diagrams. So in our sessions, what we do is we do a lot of graphs. We draw a lot of pictures. We make it accessible for each of the individual students. The next intelligence is body and kinesthetics. So these are people that like to feel and touch. So we also offer after-school programs and workshops where we're relating the mathematics concepts to the real world. So they actually be able to see how things work. A lot of the students always say, where am I going to use this? So with the Body Connect, we can actually see how it's being used. The next intelligence is musical and rhythmic. And what people don't realize is mathematics and music are very closely related. So we try to make that connection for the students. The next intelligence is interpersonal. These are people that like to work with other people. They get the best learning with other people. So we offer online and individual tutoring, but we also offer a group tutoring where each of the students can learn from each other. The next intelligence is intrapersonal. These are students that like to work by themselves. So we do offer, like I said, the one-on-one tutoring, but we also give these students the tools that they'll be able to do the work, not only in our sessions, but when they go back into the classroom or back home to do the problems by themselves. The last two intelligences, the existential and naturalist, are not really used a lot in mathematics. These are people who deal with philosophy or like to be out in nature. But we just like to have it just so people can recognize what intelligence they are. So what is your learning style? There are several tools online that can tell you what your learning style is, and we use some of these tools. I've pulled one of the websites that I like, and I did my learning style, and you can see it's logical and mathematical. But this just gives us a help. This helps us to tailor our sessions to best benefit our students. The next level on the Math Mountain is midway on the Math Mountain. So these are people that are not at the bottom. They have an idea, but they're just not at closer to the top. So the main question that they ask is, I'm on the mountain, you have me here, what do I do? Okay. So the basics of that is we go back to get the firm footing. We work on foundation. I will stress this a lot. We work on foundation. We're trying to firm up this foundation, and we do a lot of practice. We want the students to be comfortable with the material. So a lot of times with students, they don't want to hear that because it's math, but I try to relate it to them this way. What do you do if you play an instrument? What do you do if you play a sport? If you're in a drama? What do you have to do to become good at it? What you have to do is you have to practice. And once I put it in that terms, the students kind of get a feel for that, because I tell them what you do in those areas, you have to do the exact same thing with mathematics. Mathematics, unless you're a prodigy, you're not going to get it by osmosis. You're going to have to sit down, do problems to get the understanding. You're going to have to do some practice. Okay. The next level on the mountain is teetering on the Math Mountain. And I like to use this in conjunction with Midway. These probably are a little interchangeable. Okay. So the question that these students ask is, I was on the Math Mountain, I wasn't at the bottom, I'm further up the top, but I'm sliding. What do I need to do? Help me. And so I stress again, you must practice. Okay, you must practice problems, and that's what we do in our sessions. We do a lot of practice problems to firm up that foundation. We also introduce more complex and intermediate concepts, because what we want them to understand is, yeah, you understand it, but let's just take it to the next level to get to the next level of understanding. We also look at the homeworks, the quizzes, and the tests, and we want to make a connection. We want to make the connection between the practice problems we do in our sessions and their homework problems that they're taking back into their classroom or the quizzes that they're taking. We want to make that connection, because a lot of times what I've noticed is that in our sessions, everything is fine, we have an understanding, the students are happy, they understand the material. As soon as they leave our session and go back into the classroom, they forget. So what we want to do is make sure that what they're learning in our sessions, they can take back with them into the classroom and be effective. Okay. So the next one is falling off the Math Mountain. So these are people, they've gone a couple of steps, they're high, they're doing good, they've had a good semester, they get to almost to the top, they completed it, they come back to it, and they're like, oh my goodness, I cannot remember anything. And so the way I like to use the falling off the math mountain example is people that go on spring break or people that go on summer break. They have a break in between the normal routine and they come back to it and they don't remember anything. So what we want to do with AMS Academic Solution is, once again, we introduce practice. We try to get them to understand the material by practicing. Once they start utilizing that practice and doing a couple of problems, it comes back to them. Okay? Practice makes perfect. Also, we offer summer workshops, after-school workshops, and weekend workshops. And what that does is kind of keeps the math to the forefront. Okay. So it allows them to do activities so they're more apt not to forget. Okay. So in this slide, I just wanted to introduce kind of a basic activities that we do at AMS Academic Solutions. So this first slide is block 4. And this is for normally elementary school students. And what it helps them to understand is how to multiply numbers. If you want to teach multiplication of numbers, you can use this block 4 exercise. You play this game similar to how Connect 4 or tic-tac-toe works. Okay, and this is just a sample of the rules, and we'll just keep going. The next type of activity, and like I said, I want to stress that we at AMS Academic Solutions, we want to use simple activities to stress a point. So the next activity that I've illustrated here is called number clues. And what this illustrates and what this helps the students with is multiples, factors, greatest common factors, by providing clues to figure out what the number is. And an extra challenge that we would give our students is initially we provide them with the clues, but the challenge for the students to help them learn more is we have them come up with their own clues and examples. And this is just that. And then some other games, and this, like I said, I wanted to illustrate that it's nothing fancy. You can use simple household items to illustrate the concepts. These two games here, the one in the upper right-hand corner, left-hand corner, is reject a digit, and that teaches place value, placeholder, using a simple spinner and pieces of paper. The one in the lower right is called skunk. It can be any word that you think would be effective. And this is teaching multiplication of large numbers, additional large numbers, and so on and so forth. Just simple games to illustrate points. The one with the deck of cards in the corner, you can use that game to illustrate integers. How do you multiply a positive and a negative integer? How do you add and subtract positive and negative integers? You can use a game with just ordinary playing cards. And finally, the one in the lower left, that is called fraction dominoes. A lot of my students from elementary through college do not like working with fractions. This is a very good activity that can be used early on to make students comfortable with the idea of fractions. How are fractions used? What does it mean to say 1/2 or 3/4? And you can play it like dominoes. You can buy the fraction domino cards already, or what I recommend is you create your own. Okay. So the next level of the math mountain is soaring off the math mountain. And these are the people that get it. They understand everything, and they just want to like, what do I do? I'm at the top, where do I go next? We focus a lot of our attentions on students that are not getting the materials, that we forget that there are actually students that do. So how do we help those students that get it and they want to soar off the math mountain? What we do is we start preparing them for their next level. So let's say they're in the 7th grade going into the 8th. We start introducing 8th grade math concepts so that they can be comfortable and be prepared. We also help them with their test prep. And like I said, we do not teach test-taking techniques. We teach understanding of material. So for SAT, PSAT, ACT, we help them understand the material so that they can get the best grade on the test. Okay. And the last level of the Math Mountain, and this is probably my favorite level, is these are people that won't go anywhere near it. These are people that say, you know what, I'm taking off my climbing gear, I am walking the other way. I am not touching the Math Mountain. So how do we help those people? Okay. What we do at AMS Academic Solutions is we try to encourage a can-do math attitude. We don't accept can't. We want to encourage the students, and we want to make them more comfortable so that they can do the material and do the work. And I want to share a story, and this is one of my favorite stories I like to tell. I tell this a lot. Is one of my students, I was tutoring her. She was a senior in high school. And in our session, we were doing problems, and I started talking to her. And I said, so what are you going to do after high school? And she told me she is not going to college because she can't get this math. And so I asked her again, I'm like, so you're not going to college because the math is tripping you up? She said, nope, I can't get it. I can't understand it. I am not going to college. And I asked her one more time. I said, you're not going to college because you can't get the math. Nope, I'm not doing it. So I could tell that she was getting frustrated. So we just went on with our sessions, and we were doing a concept system of linear equations. And so I showed her how to do the system of linear equations. And then after a while, probably 20 or 30 minutes, she started doing the problems on her own. And so I kind of let her finish doing some of the problems, and then I stopped her. And I told her, I said, you're not going to college. She said, no, I'm not going. You're not going because you can't do math. She said, nope, I can't do math, so I'm not going. So I said, you know what, for the past 30 minutes, you have been doing college level math courses, because I was using materials from the course that I teach at the college level. And what happened is amazing to me. She started to sit up a little straighter, she turned bright, and I could actually see the hope in her eyes that she was able to do it. And that's what we want to do here at AMS Academic Solutions. We want to get rid of the anxiety, we want to get rid of the block, and encourage our students to let them know that they can do it. So in summary, we want all of our students to be soaring off the mountain. We don't want them stuck at the bottom. We don't want them walking away. We want them to have the courage and the confidence to take that next leap off of the mountain. So how do we help them do that? So we provide after-school sessions that include workshops, tutoring, weekend workshops, tutoring, summer sessions, group online and individual tutoring, and standardized test prep. If you need to contact us, you may call us at 972-755-1151 or email us at info@amsacademicsolutions.com. Or if you would like to take advantage of one of the services that we offer, you can go to our website and fill out the following form. Thank you very much.